Why is Queensland debating youth crime and what are the big changes? It's a long-running issue, but it took two tragic events to bring it to a head. On Australia Day, Matt Field and Kate Ledbetter were walking their dogs in Alexandra Hills in Brisbane when an allegedly stolen four-wheel drive, seen here ramming this car, went on to run a red light and smash into a truck, rolling onto the couple, killing them both. Kate Ledbetter was 6 months pregnant. It was their first child, a boy they were going to call Miles. He also died. The 17-year-old driver was charged with 2 counts of murder and a bunch of other things like burglary and driving under the influence of an intoxicating substance. Just 10 days later, another similar crash. Jennifer Board, a 22-year-old aspiring cop, was riding her motorbike in Townsville when she was hit and killed. The car was allegedly driven by a vigilante chasing a carload of teenagers in a stolen vehicle. The so-called vigilante is up on a murder charge. The teenagers have been slapped with a bunch of offences like unlawful use of a motor vehicle and burglary. The 18-year-old driver was also accused of breaching his bail, and he blew up in court, swearing at the magistrate and threatening to bash the female police prosecutor. So, 2 crashes in less than 2 weeks involving teenagers in allegedly stolen cars and a breach of bail. The Townsville community, well, they're already fed up, saying they've been dealing with car stealing for years. We've done stories on vigilante groups taking matters into their own hands. So the government was facing a lot of anger and accusations it hasn't done enough. The opposition said the big mistake was when breach of bail was scrapped as an automatic crime in itself, and they want it back. Governments in this position routinely order a review, giving them time, space and ideas, but they already did that in 2018. So this time was different. Within days of Jennifer Board's death, the Premier was promising big changes. GPS trackers for 16 and 17-year-olds who are out on bail for a serious offence if they're already a repeat offender. Bail would also be harder to get. Before these changes, the presumption was that kids get bail unless the police can convince the judge it's really serious. Now the onus is on the repeat offender to prove they won't be. And their parents will have to give an assurance they'll stick to their bail conditions, but there won't be any penalty attached to this. There will be other changes as well. If you're the registered owner of a car involved in a crash like this, you'll be held responsible, except if you can ID the driver to police or if your car is stolen. There'll be a parliamentary inquiry into getting cars fitted with remote engine immobilisers, so cops can just stop the car remotely. This is actually a federal government responsibility, so whatever comes out of the inquiry is just a bit of political persuasion. And finally, police in the nightclub district on the Gold Coast will be allowed to use metal detecting wands on anyone to try to cut the amount of knife crime. It's a big test for police and the government, and we'll all be watching the crime stats closely, especially those in Townsville.